Okay, so we had a little discussion. Now let's talk about where we might be having some issues. Look at our masonry, clay masonry. It's sitting right on our slab. But we know that can't be the case because when we look at our detail, we know that we have to have a mortar joint in here at the bottom of this wall. We're also going to have some flashing there, but we're not worrying about that part of the detailing right now. So if we go to load family and we go all the way back up to the top, right? Where do we find this under our families? If we go to detail items, under detail items, we go to division for masonry. Under here, we go to common work results for masonry. There's one called masonry mortaring, and there's a mortar section. So now over in my project browser, under my detail items, I go down to the what? The mortar section, and they have the different types of mortar. Don't worry about that. Just grab the basic mortar, drag it out, and you are going to draw it from here to here. Notice that it's already 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to select now my brick repeating detail. I'm going to move it up. Now, notice in here in our detail that if you look, there is some masonry anchorage in here between our CMU and what? And our brick. Now, when we get more into chapter 26 and 28, we're going to talk about the spacing of these more. But what you are going to realize is that every second course, we're going to have this anchorage. We have to anchor every 2 2/3 feet square, and we'll pick that up in a lecture in a couple of weeks. But for right now, what you'll see is that when I put that in, I'm going to go to load family. I'm already in masonry mortaring. I'm going to go up a directory, and I'm going to go to this masonry anchorage and reinforcing, and I'm going to select the bar column anchor. I'm sorry, not the bar column anchor. I'm going to select, which one do I want? Let me see which is going to be the easiest one to. I'm going to go with the rectangular tie section. I think I have that. Yes, section right there. So in the rectangular tie section, I'm going to grab this 3/16 by 4 by 12. I'm going to drag it out. I'm going to place it as close as I can to approximately the center of this mortar joint, which right there is about fine. Okay? So there it is. Now you see it's not matching up to the one that I made, this exterior wall veneer. And now we might understand that if we go back to the original one we have, let's watch what happens to this joint. It's almost perfect, people. That's why that tolerance was built into the beginning, so that these mortar joints would match up from what? From the clay masonry to the concrete masonry, so that we could get this anchorage in here. Now, I don't want you to worry too much about this right now. What we'll do is we'll just click on that and we'll say edit type, right? And when we hit edit type, we can say, let's duplicate this one and let's call it 16 inches, because that's what we're going to need. And we're going to change this from 1 foot to 1'4". And now, if I bring this out a little more, that's going to be a little long, isn't it? Okay, whoops, let me go back a step. And let me save because it wants me to save. But then I'll still step back some, so it'll be even again. And now I'm saying, well, maybe 16 inches is a little too long for that, right? So if I edit this type and I say rename this one, so it says that that is 16. Let's take that. It is actually 16, but do I want this length to maybe go down to maybe 1'2"? Let's see what happens when we do that. So now it's a little shorter. So 14 inches, right, is going to give us enough to where we are anchored in here. We don't want this to show through, right? But when we look at our physical entire wall, right, we know our wall is 1'8" end to end. But what we realize is that that 1'8" includes this interior partition that we have here. So making it actually 14 inches, and we'll rename this to 14, is what we want it to be. Okay, so this is going to be called the 4x14. So now this is sitting like it needs to in here. We're going to actually hand draw in the hook at some point. Revit doesn't have a detail that has a fancy hook like this, so we'll have to actually draw our own. I will likely draw that and provide it for you as a detail. I won't make everybody draw that individually. What we're also missing though is our ladder reinforcement in here. Maybe we can take a minute to find that, because every other joint, if you look here, has the ladder reinforcement every 2 courses. And if you look in your books on page 690, I want to say 694 and page 693, you'll see how they have that ladder reinforcement every 2 courses, right? So where might we find that ladder reinforcement? Let's go to load family, and let's go, instead of to clay masonry this time, right? We'll go to concrete unit masonry, and let's see if we can find the ladder reinforcement in here. Let's go ahead and pause the video while. So we're not seeing what we need here. So sometimes when we don't see what we need, we have to make it ourselves. So in our reinforcement, if we look in here, you can see that we have horizontal joint reinforcement, right? Right here. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do to make mine? I'm going to make it super simple. I'm going to go over to annotate, and I'm going to go to detail line, and I'm going to make a circle, right? And when I make that circle, I'm just going to draw that circle right here, right in the middle. Now, first I'm going to take this, and I'm not going to have it on my setback lines. I'm just going to go to medium lines, right? And I'm going to click right there, and I'm going to say draw axis mirror from the middle of my CMU. And now I'm going to take this item here and this item here, right? And what I can do here with these is create what's called a masking region. Let's stop the video just for a moment. So I told you I was going to use a masking region. I'm actually going to use a filled region. So when I come here and say filled region, right, I'm going to draw my circle, right, from here, and I'm going to click here, and I'm going to change this to what? Solid black. I'm going to draw another one right over here in this circle, and now I'm going to click, right? I'm going to go in and select both of these, and I'm going to say what? Bring to front, right? Then I'm going to take a detail line and draw it from here to here, but I'm going to use the what? The medium lines to draw from that quadrant to that quadrant, right? And then I am going to select those 3 items, and notice I can say create group. And this group, I'm going to call it masonry ladder reinforcement. Sorry. And now that is what's called a group. I don't like to leave a lot of things individually out there. And if I needed to edit this group, guess what? I can edit this group, and it goes into yellow edit mode, and it shows me what I can edit. I can say I want that not to be a medium line. Maybe I want it to be a wide line. Okay? What's that going to do? Well, if I go to thick lines, holy cow, right? But I'm not going to do that in that view. So do I need it to be that thick? No, I don't, right? Because the rest of this is already thick enough. So now I can say, okay, well, maybe I didn't want to do that. Maybe I can go into my editor, and I'm going to change that back to a medium line and call it a day. Okay, I just wanted you to see the editing capability, and we're going to be making some of our own detail items again down the road. So that's going to wrap it up for us today, people. We want to make sure we get at least this far with our new wall, and next time we get together, we'll be working on accessibility. So we won't come back to this until we get back from spring break. But we want to make sure we get at least this far so that we're caught up as we continue to move forward.